Insulin resistance at the level of the liver is diabetes. There's so many other hidden factors that are raising insulin resistance without even talking about food.
Sara is the owner and founder of the award-winning supplement company Accelerated Health Products. Her goal is to help her clients and listeners reach their optimal state of health through quality detox supplements, cutting-edge health technologies, and modalities. Today, she serves her clients and listeners with cutting-edge protocols that combine scalar frequency-based supplements, DNA-based dietary protocols, Chinese medicine, healing devices, and much, much more so that they can detox, reset, and rebuild their body, mind, and spirit. She is a graduate of Stanford University with degrees in economics and psychology, as well as a graduate of the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and the Invincible Wellness System. Additionally, she is the host of a top 100 health podcast titled Accelerated Health TV and radio show, which reaches over 600,000 listeners per month.
There are quite a few healthy foods that you think you're doing the right thing, but they're triggering these inflammation and insulin resistance. Weight gain is the symptom of two things that are causing most chronic disease, and that's
Hi, my name is Chris Burris. I'm a longevity expert and the chief scientist at a lab focused on a longevity molecule. My primary focus is to help people live longer and better lives with science. Make sure to subscribe and share so you and your friends can live longer and better. Well, actually, so you and your friends can live beyond the norms.
Hi, and welcome to our next talk on our Uncovering the Secrets of Longevity, Live Beyond the Norms Health Summit. For this talk, we are going to discuss weight gain, specifically anticipated weight gain. We'll go with that. Surprise weight gain. An Oxford study found that moderate obesity, which is now common, can shorten a person's lifespan by 3 years. And severe obesity, which is still uncommon, can shorten a person's life by 10 years. Think about COVID-19, where obesity increased the risk of severe illness from the infection and may triple the risk of hospitalization. A CDC report suggested that even those who are just overweight, so not obese, but just overweight, may also be at increased risk. We don't need to belabor the importance of a healthy weight when we talk about longevity. Our next speaker is going to help us navigate these waters. Sara is the owner and founder of the award-winning supplement company Accelerated Health Products. Her goal is to help her clients and listeners reach their optimal state of health through quality detox supplements, cutting-edge health technologies, and modalities. Today, she serves her clients and listeners with cutting-edge protocols that combine scalar frequency-based supplements, DNA-based dietary protocols, Chinese medicine, healing devices, and much, much more so that they can detox, reset, and rebuild their body, mind, and spirit. She is a graduate of Stanford University with degrees in economics and psychology. You don't hear that every day. As well as a graduate of the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and the Invincible Wellness System. Additionally, she is the host of a top 100 health podcast titled Accelerated Health TV and radio show, which reaches over 600,000 listeners per month. Now, 600,000 listeners is an absolutely amazing, but Sara has a new accolade that I'm not even sure she knows about. It's actually been in her hands. She is mentioned and quoted in my book, Live Longer and Better. Sara, thank you for joining us today.
I did not know that, Chris. Thank you for the introduction.
Well, that's my test. Now I know you haven't, it's in the latter part of the book, so I know you haven't gotten to the end of the book. I won't call you out and say you haven't started reading it.
I have started reading it. I'm probably halfway through it, and it's fantastic. I recommend it to everybody. I love this story, so I will have to finish it now for sure.
That is actually, I know there's a statistic, and it's some ridiculous statistic, like 70% of books get started and not finished. So now we have a reasonable idea that this one will get finished.
No, it's funny. In my household, when I actually read a book, I tell the world, because I usually am listening to podcasts or listening to Audible, just because I'm moving and shaking all day long and trying to soak up as much information while I'm doing it. Because I'm a female, I'm a mom. We do multi things at the same time. We don't know how to do one thing at a time. So
And I have to speak begrudgingly on behalf of the male population that women are actually better multitaskers.
Of course we are.
It's just a fact. Of course we are. I like that.
Of course.
Now, before we jump into weight gain, and maybe more importantly, the weight loss that we would like to do after the weight gain, give us a little bit about your background and how and why did you get into nutrition and wellness?
Okay, well, my story's pretty long, but I'll give you a short synopsis. I essentially hit rock bottom. Into my 20s, I was always someone that looked at diet and nutrition and thought I was doing the right thing. In high school, I was eating the no-fat diet, but eating chicken and broccoli and frozen yogurt and bagels because there was no fat in it, right? And then you get into the fat is bad, then the carbs are bad. Well, what's left? Protein. Okay, that's good. And it's still good. Like I would still stand behind that. But it didn't matter if you were microwaving food, if it was organic, non-organic. I didn't really even know what organic was back then. I found myself with my hair falling out, my skin was breaking out, and I was getting wrinkles. I was not digesting my food. I had major IBS symptoms, constipated, diarrhea, fatigue, everything. The wheels were falling off. And for any of you moms out there, you know that when you're pregnant, that body is going to give that baby every little ounce of nutrition. So you even lose more nutrition. And so through my 3 pregnancies, my health just went down and down and down. And on the 3rd one, it's like the body's giving up. So I go to the GI doctors. They put tubes down me, up me, around me. They say, you have IBS, go take some Metamucil. And I said, you think I didn't try that already? And 1,000 other things that I tried. So they gave me no answer. So I went to a natural practitioner who used a scalar frequency machine called the SCIO, and it scans your body for 10,000 items and tells you your nutrients that you're missing, your hormones. It even told me if I had trauma at the age of 3. It was extremely extensive. And with that practitioner, who's now one of my mentors and formulators for my scalar enhanced frequency supplements, he said, I don't know how you walked into my office. You should have zero energy and you should be so depressed in the way you feel because your body's just not working for you. And I said, well, I'm a type A personality and I'm going to just get things done even if I don't feel good. But we started peeling my body like an onion. I had heavy metal toxicity, Crohn's disease, colitis, PCOS, my hair, like I mentioned, falling out, my skin breaking out, hormonal imbalances, you name it, I had it, and I was just a total mess. But as I was working on me, my kids were getting older. My eldest, my son, turned 9 years old, and he started not having energy, not doing well in school, and I'm like, what's going on here? So we scanned him. And we then had to do a blood test and put the blood underneath the microscope. And the practitioner there, she said, Sarah, he's got leukemia. And if you don't do something about this now, we're going to have a very serious conversation in a year. And I started crying. And my 9-year-old son looked at me and he goes, Mom, why are you crying? You're going to fix me. And I said, okay, you're right. That's what I'm doing. And it was not about me. It was not about my health anymore. It was all about my son. And so over that next year, we put him on what's now my flagship product, the Accelerated Silver, cleaned up his diet a little bit. What that meant was, okay, 11 years ago, I didn't really even know about organic I stopped microwaving the corn dogs. So there was a step, and started feeding him a little better. But everyone knows that when you send your kid to elementary school and to birthday parties, you have very little control of 100% of what they're eating. So I did as much as I could. A year later, as I was seeing my son get better, with activity, and his grades were coming up and his energy was up. We got him retested, and that time the blood underneath the microscope not only did not have the cancer cells there, but it was the most beautiful blood I've ever seen. And it was nice. The cells were round and plump and not stuck together. They can look like chained up, and that's a sign of acidity. And how do you get nutrients in a cell if they're all chained up together, right? So they were nice and plump and dark, not anemic, not nutritionally deficient like they were before. And I started crying again. And he goes, "Mom, why are you surprised? We knew you were going to fix me." And it was at that moment when I was so inspired to share this message, because I had friends just putting their kids on not just antibiotics, but steroids for the common cold. And this was before the pandemic. This is just the usual flu, right? And I knew the dangers of that and the downside. So I started a small little company, one box of silver at a time, friends and family, and it grew from there. And I've been wanting to stay on the cutting edge of nutraceuticals, of technologies, combined with the amazing wisdom of the ancient herbal methods of Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic mythology. And so what we do at Accelerated Health Products is we make formulas with all three together. We take the cutting edge nutraceutical ingredients. We take the Ayurvedic or Chinese herbal remedies. We make sure they are exactly what they were meant to be by the master herbalist way back when, because there's so many companies out there that are, cutting corners with their ingredients and with their formulas because of cost. And then we enhance all of them with the scalar frequencies, the same scalar frequencies that were able to read my body and the frequencies in my body of what is out of harmony, and actually take frequencies that are healing to the body and put them into the body. So there's so many frequency-based devices out there, and a lot of them are on my website as well. But frequency healing is becoming more common now. And if you just think about music, you walk into a room and it's playing AC/DC and I'll get a headache. Or if it's playing something more calming, like a spa music, it will calm you down. Music is frequency. So when people ask, what does that mean? I don't even understand what that means. That is what we're talking about. So with that, now just a fast forward, that 9-year-old boy is a 21-year-old college student in Utah. He was a record holder in rowing in the nationals at 15. We've all, out of a family of 5, 3 kids, my husband and I all tested positive at least twice. Not one of us have had symptoms. So what I'm seeing as we go forward is everything's changing, right? We are getting new threats, new challenges that we are facing. People are seeing symptoms they've never seen before, one being unexplained weight gain. And my goal is to be on top of it and ahead of it so that I can give people answers and control of their health so that they're not dependent on the doctors that may not be able to help them with their issues.
Excellent. So that's a classic pain to purpose, which is a phrase that I actually hadn't heard of until recently, but a pain to purpose story. So so awesome that you were able to help. Obviously, your own son. You're going to do whatever you can. That's pretty amazing. So in terms of weight gain, so let's get to the topic that we're covering here today. What do you see as the importance of managing weight as it relates to longevity?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Weight gain is the symptom. It's the symptom of 2 things that are causing most chronic disease, and that's insulin resistance and inflammation. And I know, Chris, you've talked about oxidative stress and inflammation. That is the cornerstone of disease. Well, you go to insulin resistance, insulin resistance at the level of the liver is diabetes. And when that happens, that's when you get this unexplained weight gain or weight gain. But it's not just about that weight. We can go through the causes, but it's not just about the morsels of food that you're eating and I'm hiding in my closet eating the M&Ms after Halloween. It is the stress.
You too? Because yesterday was Halloween.
Right. Exactly. There's so many other hidden factors that are raising insulin resistance without even talking about food. And that's what I'm seeing. And then when you get that insulin dysregulation or insulin resistance, you're getting this unexplained weight gain. So many women are working out twice a day, going to the gym. They're not eating enough, which is part of the issue. And they're gaining this weight and they don't know why. And they feel awful. So what I found are there are quite a few particular things causing that insulin resistance that is not related to food. And some are the healthy foods that you think you're doing the right thing, but they're triggering these this inflammation and insulin resistance that's then leading to the unexplained weight gain.
Okay. So that's now when you talk about the air quotes healthy foods, just real quick, what are some of them that pop to your mind?
The healthy foods would be, well, let's get into processed foods. Okay. First, I want to touch on that, but then I'm going to lead into some of the more healthy foods. But when you talk about processed foods, that includes the protein bars and the ketogenic low carb bars that are full of the seed oils. Those seed oils are extremely inflammatory and they will cause inflammation at the cellular level. They will cause insulin resistance at the cellular level. So take a step back though, people eating processed foods don't even know that processed foods aren't real foods. 67% of what a kid is eating right now is processed food. It's in a package. That is not real food, people. If you want to be healthy, it's not about a vegan, vegetarian, paleo, keto, carnivore diet. It's about eating food from nature without the package. If it comes in a package, get rid of it. So the processed foods is the no-brainer, but I want to go over this first real quick. It is high calorie and it has the added sugars to enhance the taste buds. These companies aren't stupid. They want these foods to be super palatable, hyper palatable, so you're addicted to them, so you want to eat more and you buy more. So just eating a small little bite of cake, for instance, 100 calories of seed oils and fat and sugar and salt all in one little bite of that Halloween cake that you took a bite of. Yes, I did last night. Now, I could have.
Was that before or after the M&Ms in the closet?
Before.
Okay.
I could eat 3 plums for that amount of calories. I could eat a half of a sweet potato that would fill me up, whatever it is. But you're eating just this small amount of food, but there's no fiber in it. It's unhealthy fats. It's refined carbohydrates. All of this is going to contribute to excess calorie intake. Now, this is pretty obvious to people, the processed foods and the added sugars. You've got particularly, though, fructose. Fructose is different. It metabolizes different than glucose. It's processed in the liver, directly converted into liver fat without being used for energy. Okay, so when you eat it, you're thinking, well, at least I can burn it off at the gym. It is going directly to that liver fat, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is the fastest growing disease in the United States, and it's causing more metabolic disease and more unexplained weight gain than anything else. So that fructose also, as I mentioned, well, at least I'm going to get some energy from that frosting on the Halloween cake. No, I'm not, because fructose actually steals ATP out of the body, which is true cellular energy. So people then tend to eat more, hoping for more energy as the fructose lowers their energy. Then you've got these processed foods have very little nutrition in them. no vitamins, minerals, fibers. So when you're eating them, your body's not recognizing them as food and saying, oh, I've got enough to eat, I'll stop eating. They say, no, I need to keep eating more because I'm not getting any nutrients. It's not triggering this hormone called CCK, which tells the gut to tell the brain, I've had enough to eat. That hormone is only triggered by animal protein and omega-3 fatty acids. You go out and try to binge on 3 ribeye steaks. I will give you $1,000 if you're able to eat 3 ribeye steaks. But what your brain's going to do is saying, okay, I've got enough because I just got a whole bunch of nutrients and I'm good to go. These processed foods have these unhealthy fats. So people think, oh, well, it's no carbs. These fats are okay. These seed oils, the trans fats, they contribute to weight gain by causing inflammation and insulin resistance at the cellular level. And even though these fats don't contain glucose, they actually raise insulin resistance and that leads to weight gain. And also another thing to think about, and we're going to talk more about it in a minute, is that the fat cell's job is to encapsulate the toxins in the body to get them out of the bloodstream. Okay, it's a survival mechanism. So when these seed oils come in, the body wants to store them and get them out of the blood really quickly so that you can survive. It's a survival mechanism. So these processed foods also have additives and preservatives, which affect metabolism and appetite, and the body doesn't recognize them as real food because they're not real food. So when the body sees it as a toxin, like I mentioned, it will encapsulate that for survival purposes. So fructose on its own, when it comes from the added sugars, I'm not talking about from fruit, from the apples and pears and fruit, but they have been linked to insulin resistance and weight gain specifically. It's crucial to distinguish this between the naturally occurring fructose in the fruits and vegetables. Those have fiber with them and some other nutrients. If you go out and you have a glass of orange juice, that's equivalent to the juice from 5 oranges. You're going to drink that glass of orange juice and you're going to say, what else is for breakfast? When you have 5 oranges, you're going to throw up because your body is eating enough fiber that it's going to say, no, I can't eat this much. There's a reason nature puts that fiber in there. Well, the sodas, the candies, the crackers and breads even that don't taste sweet, those have hidden sugars and hidden fructose in there. And even the healthy packaged dairy and meat foods might contain hidden sugars. And those hidden sugars are telling your gut that you want more and you don't even know it. And then you're going to eat more of it and it's triggering this dopamine response, which then increases the addiction for these processed foods.
Hey, super quick break from the podcast. Hopefully you're loving it. This is a way you can support the podcast and take advantage of a great offer. We're offering 50% off of one of our MCT bottles. MCT is an amazing oil. Add the ESS60 molecule to it. It's even more amazing. All you got to do is leave a review on iTunes, send us a notification that you've left that review. We'll get you a coupon code that'll get you 50% off of our MCT oil and free shipping. Back to the podcast.
When we ingest fructose, it undergoes metabolism in the liver, like I mentioned, and it's converted to that liver fat. So it increases liver fat. It increases triglycerides. Fructose intake boosts the triglycerides in the liver, and that's associated with insulin resistance and cardiovascular disease and unexplained weight gain. Then it actually impairs insulin signaling. So away from it raising insulin on its own, fructose disrupts the insulin signaling pathway. And so when that happens, then it's going to cause insulin resistance again, impairing the ability of the cells to take up glucose. Then this is what's really interesting, and no one's talking about it. It increases uric acid levels. Metabolizing fructose raises uric acid levels in the blood, and that has been linked to insulin resistance and obesity. So what they're showing is if you can keep uric acid level at a lower rate, eating the same foods, you actually might keep insulin resistance from occurring, which then actually might prevent obesity. So uric acid is a huge issue. And what we're finding is that fructose on its own and processed foods, and then the spike protein from COVID, so two separate things independently, raise uric acid levels because they're depleting copper out of the body. And copper is essential to keep uric acid levels at bay. And this is why we came out with the accelerated copper during the pandemic, because we wanted to stay ahead of the game and helping people, because copper, bioavailable copper, leads, or a low level of that leads to iron accumulation in the liver. So most people have plenty of iron in them. They may be anemic, but they've got the iron in their body. It's just in the wrong places. The copper is the key to let the iron to get to where it needs to go. I've had anemia. My daughter's had anemia. It wasn't about the iron. It was about having enough copper in the body to open the door to get the iron to where it needs to go. And copper is essential to keep that uric acid low, to keep insulin resistance from happening, and to keep unexplained weight gain. So that is one of those big aha moments in the last couple of years, is the uric acid levels and the low copper. And what else have people been doing over the last 3 years? Taking zinc to keep their immune system strong. Zinc is a great supplement, but zinc competes with copper. So that's another way that copper has been depleted out of the body. So I mentioned the spike protein, Chris. This spike protein is showing up in so many ways, and it's causing a lot of the unexplained weight gain. So this is one of those things where you're not eating anything different. You might be on your low carb, high wild animal protein. If you listen to me before, I talk about wild animal protein and staying away from the amyloid laden proteins, and those being chicken, poultry, the healthy white meat, right? The quote unquote healthy foods that we think are so healthy. Those foods have amyloid proteins. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the spike protein dysregulates the function of the ACE2 enzyme receptor in the liver, which leads to a buildup of angiotensin 2. And as a result, people get water retention, which is going to show up on the scale as unexplained weight gain, insulin dysregulation, that unexplained weight gain, and fat, because now the body is taking in more toxins and more spike protein and needing to use fat cells as that survival mechanism to store it and get it out of the blood. You're going to see an increase in the antidiuretic hormone, more water retention, more oxidative stress, more inflammation, more hormonal imbalance, which leads to weight gain. Men are going to have estrogen dominance, man boobs, lack of muscle tone. Women are going to gain the weight in the, around the hips and thighs, men around the belly. You're going to get more liver fat, more visceral fat. That visceral fat is around the belly, protecting the organs, because remember, our bodies are smart. We are all about survival, and we need to put that fat to protect our organs. And then, as I mentioned, that copper deficiency. So that prevalence of dietary fructose and processed food, coupled with the infiltration of the spike protein, that has accelerated the depletion of copper in most of us. And why copper plays a vital role in reducing uric acid levels in a few different ways. It blocks the polyol pathway, and that is a metabolic process responsible for converting glucose into sorbitol and fructose. So here you're eating glucose, you're not even eating the fructose, but without copper, that glucose is being converted into fructose. So then your uric acid levels rise, rise, paving the way for more insulin resistance and unexplained weight gain. It is needed, copper is needed to regulate the triglycerides and the liver fat. So without it, you're going to get excessive buildup of fat in the liver, and that's going to contribute to insulin resistance and fatty liver and obesity. Now, I've had people come to me saying, Sarah, I'm on a carnivore diet. I don't touch processed foods. I don't touch anything. All of a sudden, on my blood test, my triglycerides and my cholesterol have skyrocketed. Spike protein. And there you go. And it also helps manage the iron levels, as I mentioned, which addresses the root cause of oxidative stress. Too much iron in the body, you're rusting from the inside out. You've got that oxidative stress and you're rusting up from the inside out. Radiation. Did you know that just by holding the cell phone, you're raising your insulin resistance without eating a morsel of food? Whether it's non-ionizing or ionizing, it's been linked to an elevation of insulin resistance. And people don't think about it because you can't see radiation. You can't see the 5G towers, the smart meters, everything that we are being sort of bombarded with that radiation. The news just came out a couple weeks ago that Fukushima was releasing their radioactive water into the oceans, and even China was saying, I don't want any of that fish from Japan. No, thank you. So if China is worried, we better be worried. And here we are getting iodine supplies from iodine companies. And I'm all about iodine. Iodine is one of my number one supplements, the Acceleradine iodine. But if you're getting it from a company that is sourcing from Asia, that iodine is probably radioactive. And here you are trying to kick out the radiation from your body with iodine, kicking out the heavy metals, and you're feeding your body that radioactive iodine. So really know your sourcing of your iodine sources. That means kelp. That means the sea vegetables that people are eating for their iodine, or where they're getting their iodized salt. But radiation, it lowers the metabolic rate when you're exposed to radiation as a protective measure. Remember, we're in survival mode. It increases insulin resistance to facilitate storage of more fat, because we're trying to encapsulate that radiation and store it in our fat as a protective measure. The toxins in radiation are sequestered within larger fat cells to shield the vital organs from potential harm, and it reduces ATP and energy. So that is another way. We're all about increasing ATP. And Chris, you and I have talked about mitochondrial health. That is how you get longevity. That is where you're going to live longer. It's all about the ATP and the mitochondria. Well, that cell phone that you're holding is reducing the ATP in your body. So this radiation is coming from the 5G, smart phones, the smart meters, x-rays, EMFs. It's really important to start managing it. I have my own cell phone. I'm on my computer a few hours a day. I'm getting it as well, but there's ways to protect yourself. And then the other toxins, we're burdened by overwhelming toxic load that surpasses anything our ancestors even imagined. We have the GMOs, the glyphosate in our foods. So just a side point, you asked what are the healthy foods that could be causing weight gain? Well, GMOs and glyphosate have disrupted our sulfur detox pathways. Sulfur foods that used to be healthy, that were helping with detoxification, now are actually backing up our liver. And those include broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and kale and onions, garlic, egg yolks. Okay, I just named off a whole bunch of really healthy, good, ketogenic, low carb veggies and foods that people are going, wait a second, now what am I supposed to eat? You've got the presence of lead and mercury and other heavy metals in the diet. We've got the dental fillings, the vaccinations, the water sources, fluoride, chlorine, bromide in our food and water. Some of these toxins aren't even allowed in Europe. And you hear all the time of people going to Europe saying, I can eat so many other foods that I can't eat in the United States. And it's because they're exposed to these toxins. Then you've got the xenoestrogens. These are synthetic compounds that mimic the effects of natural estrogens in the body, found in plastics, pesticides, industrial chemicals. They contribute to weight-related issues by causing hormonal disruption, increasing that appetite that you're getting from the excess estrogens, slowing down the metabolism, increasing fat storage, leading to weight gain. You've got fat cell function. Some studies have indicated that xenoestrogens may affect the function of the adipose tissue itself, potentially promoting fat accumulation and obesity. So once again, you're not eating anything different. It's just causing this unexplained weight gain. Increasing insulin resistance. These xenoestrogens interfere with insulin sensitivity. That's going to lead to weight gain. Disruption of the thyroid function. The thyroid plays a crucial role. It is your metabolism. I'm all about the thyroid. Most people are running around with hypothyroidism, especially in the last 3 years. And these xenoestrogens actually affect the brain's control of appetite. So you might be having an increased food appetite and leading to weight gain. Then you've got the liver. And if you know me, you know I love my liver. The dirty liver, the liver is your master detox organ, and it also plays a pivotal role in producing estrogen binding protein. When the liver is functioning properly, then it's able to clear these toxins. But when it's not, these toxins stack up one on top of another. And then you've got the radiation from our cell phone and the GMOs from the food that I ate last night at a restaurant. And then I've got my dish soap that might not be organic. All of these things stacking up, and the liver says, I give up. I can't do anymore. And it's going to go into survival mode, and you're going to get inflamed, and you lose the ATP and kill off the mitochondria. The thyroid's not going to work as well because your liver is where your T4 converts into the active thyroid hormone T3. So all of these things are stacking up. The liver is where phase 1, 2, and 3 of estrogen detoxification takes place. So when the liver's suffering, it's unable to clear the excess estrogens, leading to further weight gain. Then you add in leaky gut. And even if you don't have bloat or constipation, you probably have leaky gut. They did a study with college students who all felt healthy. They were actually athletes, and they were functioning optimally, eating on a decent way, whatever, no symptoms whatsoever. Most of them had leaky gut. And your leaky gut could be showing up as mental issues, mood issues, brain fog, hair falling out, hormonal issues, and you don't even know that it's connected to leaky gut. But that's intestinal permeability, where the integrity of the intestinal walls is compromised, and then you get these openings in that intestinal wall. So as a consequence, foreign particles seep into the bloodstream, triggering a systemic inflammatory response, and your body goes, oh my God, I don't recognize what that is. Let's have an exaggerated autoimmune response. And what causes this? Stress, antibiotics, pathogens, the toxins that we're talking about, mycotoxins, environmental and food toxins. And when this happens, you're going to get a lack of nutrient absorption and unexplained weight gain. So this is where then I have created cleanses and protocols to help people reverse that, eat in the right way according to their DNA, so that they can actually let go of this without being starved, None of my clients are starved. They're feeling great. Their brain is happy. They have energy physically and mentally, and they actually want to go out and do more and do all the things that are going to increase ATP, increase mitochondrial health, let go of the weight, build that muscle so that they can live longer.
Okay, so that was a lot. A couple of takeaways, right? Copper, good. Like it's not a dietary supplement that I think many people hear about. So I think that was awesome. Leaky gut, we hear about that. We need to have solutions for that. Fructose, I feel like you just laid out the biochemistry for the very simple. I love how Dr. Gundry just kind of describes it and says, listen, when did fruit usually fruit, right? When does fruit usually become ripe? It's in the spring and the fall, right? Well, that's if it's in the fall, hey, you're about to starve to death because it's winter coming. So pack on the pounds, right? So it doesn't trigger the impulse that you're full, right? So the awareness that you're full. So just keep eating until the fruit's gone. And then when you're coming into the spring, it's like, okay, well, you just survived and you may be lucky that you survived and you may be extremely skinny because you're coming out of winter. Here's the fruit, eat as much as you can, etc. So you just laid that out in all the actual biological perspectives. I think that's pretty awesome. You hinted that you've got some protocols. What are one or two things that you can share that would help people move in this direction, so they've got some takeaways?
Well, I've created some cleanses, and my goal is with my cleanses, because I was that person that couldn't get off the couch to then eat the right foods, to then feel better, to then sleep better. And it was like, okay, I thought I had the mental capacity and the willpower to do the right thing. It's not about willpower. With the supplements, and I will just touch on 3 game changers: the accelerated iodine, the accelerated keto, and the accelerated thyroid. If you don't have proper thyroid function, you're not going to have the energy or the brain power to make good decisions and to get off the couch, to do the exercise, and to sleep right, and to make the right food choices, and to stop the cravings for the crap, right? That's lowering your vital force or your energy. So the accelerated iodine, we need iodine. 96% of us are deficient in iodine. Iodine kicks all of the toxins out of the cells, all 100 trillion cells out of our body. And it also helps with the thyroid function, providing the 4 and the 3 molecules of iodine for that T4 and the T3. So iodine, it increases ATP by 18 times versus when you are low in iodine. Okay. So it is impactful it is the number one supplement needed, or mineral needed, for mitochondrial health. That is the game changer. So if anyone is listening going, I can only do one thing, that is the one thing. It purifies your system from foreign pathogens. There's been also a study just released by the NIH that connects iodine with dismantling and devitalizing that virus that we're all talking about. So I have to be careful about how we talk about that. So super important for the immune system. It was known to help with fight the Spanish flu pandemic in 1918, before any other Western medicine ways of doing it were around. It aids in managing inflammation. It's extremely anti-inflammatory, antihistamine, alleviates allergies, and regulates the radicals, free radicals. It helps expel the toxins, the heavy metals, and the radiation out of the body, manages all the hormone imbalances that we're seeing, and it's actually being shown to reverse the damage done by the spike protein. And from shedding, from the vaccine, from having the virus, all of it, we are seeing a reversal of that with the accelerated iodine. It is the only iodine that is monoatomic, enhanced with scalar frequencies, and radiation free. Like I mentioned, you have to be very careful with the iodine that you are seeing out there. And then to go with that is the accelerated thyroid, because we have taken that ancient herbal wisdom of Ayurvedic Kanchanara Google formulation with nutraceuticals that are cutting edge and enhancing with scalar frequencies to amplify metabolism, boost fat burning, boost your physical and mental energy, break down that fatty liver that we've been talking about, because fatty liver is connected to insulin resistance, which is the lead to obesity. And then it also helps with connective tissues, immune support, lifts mood, and overall well-being. Most people on antidepressants actually have hypothyroidism. If the doctors would just look at their thyroid, they would never need their antidepressants. So look at your thyroid first. So it helps with mood, helps with digestion, and the scalar frequencies help with detoxing the thyroid of the heavy metals and the radiation that we're talking about, and heal the thyroid. It's been able to get a lot of people off their thyroid medication. Now, the third one is truly the game changer, because the accelerated keto works with the other two to stop the cravings for the sugar and the processed foods, right? We need to get off of them. We need to intermittent fast. Intermittent fasting is nature's way and a free way to heal the body, to increase ATP, to extend longevity. We all know that intermittent fasting is good for you, but it can be stressful on the body. Well, the accelerated keto flips you into ketosis within 30 minutes. It has other cofactor ingredients to defat the liver, increase ATP by 5 to 10 times. So you're increasing that longevity. It also has it helps with HMB, which is the people talk about lysine to help with muscle building. Well, HMB is what lysine is supposed to convert into. The accelerated keto helps you have that HMB directly, which is maintaining muscle mass. And we know muscle mass is directly correlated to longevity. So as we're getting older, super important to hold on to that muscle mass. And it suppresses that appetite so that you're craving that wild animal protein that I talk about, and stopping the sugar and the carb cravings. It regulates your blood sugar, lowers your insulin resistance. I've seen diabetics who are injecting themselves with more insulin than I even thought was possible, getting off their insulin totally, and the weight's just falling off. So if you think about it, you're injecting yourself with insulin. Insulin is a fat storing hormone. You wonder why you're gaining weight. You're not even eating anything different as a diabetic, but just by injecting yourself with insulin, insulin is telling your body to store fat. Well, you get off the insulin because you're taking the accelerated keto to lower your insulin resistance naturally, reducing inflammation, providing the brain and your overall body energy, and actually increasing dopamine, serotonin, and GABA. So you're calm. So you're not stressed out when you're intermittent fasting. So those three are the key game changers for unexplained weight gain, but they're incorporated in a lot of my cleanses. On my website, I've got a quiz for people to take to tell them what cleanse is right for them. And maybe they're a person that, I can only do one supplement at a time. I just baby steps, or I'm all in, hands, feet, body. I want to do everything. And I've got solutions for everyone, and whatever is good for them. But what's great is that I follow it up with coaching on a daily basis, answering their questions. Coaching's free. You can join the coaching without even buying a supplement. It's on Telegram, and I love people to join and be a part of that like-minded group, because as you know, Chris, nowadays it's hard to find people that are on this path with you. It's kind of lonely out there. So I provide a really awesome group that supports each other on that journey, and answering your questions as you are taking this step at a time at your own pace, and encouraging you to keep moving forward.
Excellent. You have laid out a whole framework, the whole groundwork. I really appreciate this talk. I have like wrap-up questions. And so the first one, this is a longevity health summit. And so do you have a target age that you want to live to?
I always said my target age was 150. With how crazy the world is, I don't know if I really want to be around that long. However, I always say there's a reason I'm here. And with every challenge, whether it was my son or my daughter going through anemia, allergies, asthma, we didn't even get into that, or my other daughter going through, learning, comprehension issues, that sort of thing. I always saw a pain to purpose story. So with everything that I see coming at us now, I see that as well. So I want to live to 150 and helping as many people as I can. And I don't see a limit to that goal of mine.
Awesome. 150. I love it. And do you have like a length of time if you think about Dr. David Sinclair talks about the information theory of aging and that potentially we could live forever. What do you think is the extent of life? I mean, maybe humans can't live past 200. Is it forever? What do you think that might be?
I go back to times in the Bible when people were living to almost 1,000 years. So I think, I don't want to put a number on it. And I think with the technology now, I've talked a lot about stem cells. I believe I'm going to be aging backwards. And so like you, Chris, unless there's an accident, I don't intend to leave anytime soon.
I like it. All right. So what 2 to 3 protocols, habits, mindsets, let's call them shortcuts because everybody likes shortcuts, would you share related to longevity and having a long health span?
Well, number one, My Vital C. I take it every single day. I would also say the 3 supplements that I recommended: intermittent fasting and prioritizing wild animal protein.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. I like that. Really good. Sara, how can people reach you?
My website, sarabantahealth.com. Everything's there. You can find my coaching there. You can email me directly to help have me put together a protocol for you. All of my articles are there, my podcasts. You can find my podcast, Accelerated Health radio or TV and radio show is on over 100 different podcast channels. So wherever you are listening to podcasts, I'm there. And please reach out to me. Join my Telegram group, Coaching. There's no downside.
That's awesome. And what in the near future are you excited about?
I'm excited to see what challenge I have next that I'm supposed to learn and dive into, then to be able to help more people with. And with this world going as fast as it is, I'm sure I have it around the corner. I am coming out with a new liver supplement that it's my brand, which I'm super excited about. And I'm sure we'll have a couple other supplements coming in 2024.
Awesome. All right. Well, you can find her at sarabantahealth.com, and that's SARABANTA health.com. Sara, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Chris.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Live Beyond the Norms podcast. Make sure to subscribe and follow. Also, make sure not to be that guy, the guy sharing this podcast with people who are not interested in living beyond the norms. If you would like to learn more about the ESS60 molecule, the molecule responsible for the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history, a full 90% extension of life, visit myvitalc.com. That's myvitalc as in carbon.com.